Hi everyone, my name is Bryan, but you'll find me as BWBSoldya on the internet. Today, I've got some new info to share about a skip in the new Delta Force Black Hawk Down campaign. Before we delve into the new info, let's get a quick overview of the strat. It's called Drop Skip, and it was found by Meta over on the Delta Force Speedrun Discord. In short, Drop Skip lets us skip past the first building of the campaign. This probably saves us at least half a minute in the overall run. The downside, however, is that the skip is a little bit finicky to get, and while I have managed to do it a few times now, it's nowhere near consistent enough as it is. But hopefully, this new information will help with that. The basic idea of drop skip is that we use the Mantling system to negate all fall damage. Internally, the game keeps track of whether or not your character is falling and how far they have fallen. Once your hitbox collides with the hitbox of the floor, the game will use that information to calculate how much damage needs to be done to your player. But because we go into mantle right before we collide with the floor, the game's internal distance fell counter will be reset because a mantle technically also involves downward movement. This means that once the mantle is complete, the game will do the math and realize it doesn't need to do a damage calculation, meaning we can drop 4 floors without dying. So that's the theory, but how does it work specifically for drop skip? Well, what I found is that at the bottom of the stairwell, there's a small invisible wall. Well, it's more of a ledge really, but it is this wall that we can mantle up on. The wall is located roughly here, and it runs diagonally across this rubble, and our landing is roughly here. The reason this skip is so tricky is twofold. The first is the height of the wall. Like I said, it's not really a wall and more of a ledge, as it's very low to the ground. This makes the timing window on our mantle relatively short. If we're too early, we won't be in range, and if we're too late, we splat. And trust me on this, I've done both a lot of times in this testing. The good news here is that I do think that we can master this with enough practice. This is by no means a frame perfect trick. The second reason I find the skip difficult to get consistent is the positioning. The wall runs diagonally across the ground here, and in order to be in range for the mantle, we need to make sure we land close enough to it, but not close enough to land on top of it. This is something I haven't figured out yet. We definitely need to do more research into this to see how we can get it consistent enough. I'm also not entirely sure if this is something that requires precise positioning of the character's model, or if it just requires precise aiming at a fixed point, or perhaps even a combination of the two. What I do know, however, is that in order to pull this mantle off, you do need stamina, or at least I'm pretty sure you do. I have seen mantles take up no stamina whatsoever, but I've also seen them take up a little bit of stamina. This does require some further testing, but for now, just make sure you have at least 15 to 20% stamina, I'd say. You can probably get away with less, but this is playing it safe. Last thing for drop skip is a different mantling location. In my testing, I noticed that we can mantle onto the side of these stairs that are right next to our drop. I haven't actually tested this with the skip yet, but these could potentially be easier to use. Might be worth some further testing. Lastly, I also have a free bonus tip for you. When you start the mission and you land on top of the roof, you won't have control over your character yet. You will gain control as soon as Colonel Harold says the word minutes. Just a free little bonus tip I figured I'd throw in. But that's really all I have for you today, folks. If I find anything else, I'll make sure to update you. Again, a big thanks and shout out to Meta over on the Discord for figuring out that this skip existed and posting a video of it. Speaking of the Discord, if you're interested in speedrun for this game, make sure to check out our leaderboard on speedrun.com as well as this Delta Force speedrun Discord. I'll leave links to both in the description down below. Thank you all so much for your time today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And remember, be kind to yourself.